Hello, this is my makeup video for the fourth online meeting that I missed, and I will be discussing one of the questions regarding Buddhism and engaged Buddhism and what that means and stuff. So essentially, engaged Buddhism is the social activism performed by Buddhists using Buddhist traditions and values and wisdom. So the practice and act of social activism, that's engaged Buddhism. And engaged Buddhism involves Buddhists taking their insights and wisdom and practices and applying it to contemporary moral dilemmas such as war, racism, human ethical values, all these things, and especially environmentalism, which is very important, especially in the recent years. Engaged Buddhism basically came about in the 1960s when the term itself was coined by Thich Nhat Hanh, a very important and renowned Vietnamese spiritual leader and activist. So in the 1960s, during the Vietnam War, he basically created two organizations, one called the School of Youth for Social Services and the other being the Order of Interbeing. And the goal of these groups or organizations was to provide relief for anyone in the war. And so he decided to spread activism and participate and engage Buddhism by, just preaching peace and mindfulness. And so he's a very important role model for engaged Buddhists and the whole movement itself, along with just being kind of the founder of engaged Buddhism. He has been very active, and he has even addressed the United Nations Educational and Scientific and Cultural Organization in Paris in regards to, he spoke about ending the cycle of violence, war, and climate change, and how we could achieve that through more or less Buddhist principles. And so, the two organizations that I just mentioned that he had organized, he wanted to teach social welfare and social work and rural development in a different way. He didn't want the people helping or volunteering to think of themselves as helpers, and they didn't want the poor or whoever being helped to think of themselves as people being helped, but rather that it's a community and two people just working together for the same cause, and that they're just at a level playing field. So the Order of Interbeing also has an outline of guidelines published, which is also by Thich Nhat Hanh. So these 14 precepts of the Order of Interbeing, or also called the 14 precepts of engaged Buddhism, basically outlines what it means to be an engaged Buddhist. Some of these things are such as not killing anything, not mistreating your body, not pushing any ideals or beliefs onto anyone, especially children, and also not just believing in one doctrine or ideology or theory, even if it's a Buddhist one, because even he believed that even Buddhist views and beliefs and ideology, it's not absolute truth. So engaged Buddhism basically encompasses social activism, political activism, and environmentalism, Um, just basically any act of social activism, um, as long as it doesn't encompass any sort of violence or hatred or anything like that, and that can be considered engaged Buddhism. So in more recent years, there have been big movements in the environmental activism, as well as like the Tizu Chi Foundation or Chai Foundation, who basically their aim is to provide relief efforts for international emergency situations such as like natural disasters. Um, yeah, and then there's also the like Thich Nhat Hanh program for Engaged Buddhism that actively works towards fighting racism, and they even had a gathering of Buddhist teachers of Black African descent, and their goal with that is to fight the stigma of people of all color being Buddhist teachers or holding positions of authority within the tradition. So yeah, in conclusion, engaged Buddhism is just pretty much social activism, but with Buddhist ideals and traditions and practices applied to it. And so yeah, there's a lot of engaged Buddhism going around all of us currently, and yeah, that's it.